Hello and welcome, everyone. This is Fulcrum, and you're listening to Dark Character Profiler, a podcast where we take a deep dive into the background and personalities of villains from books, video games, manga, and sometimes even comics. Every other Tuesday, get ready for a brief history and psychological analysis of some of the most deviant and heinous characters of all time. Recommendations for new episodes are always welcome. Now, let's get into the episode.
For this episode, I'm going to be doing a little less script reading, so it's going to be more freeform. I do have some notes that I'm going to follow just so I can keep myself on track, but for the most part, it's going to be freeform. There are going to be some instances where I'm reading directly off of a script, but it's only going to be one small section. So, with that, please bear with me while I'm trying to figure out how I want to format these episodes. And please don't hesitate to give me any kind of feedback on, if you prefer fully scripted or if you prefer the less scripted, more off the cuff, kind of go with the flow form of this episode. You can leave a comment on this episode letting me know what you prefer. I can do a poll to see what you would prefer. Either way, I look forward to any feedback that you have for me. All right, I'm going to get started on our episode for today. And the character that we're going to be talking about is a character that comes from the video game series Destiny and Destiny 2. The character that we're going to be talking about, he goes by the Crow. His name is Uldren Sov, but he was born Uldren Sov when he was a human. And he was actually one of the first Awoken and is the loyal brother of the Queen of the Reef, Mara Sov, which makes him the Prince of the Reef. He's also the Master of Crows and the Spy Master of the Reef. The Crow has fought in many wars, the first of which being the breaching of the Black Garden. During that, he fought off Cabal and Vex to prove to the Awoken people that he was more than just the prince to his sister Mara, the Queen of the Reef. He also participated in the Reef Wars, which involved fallen houses attacking the last city. He also participated in the Wolf Rebellion, which is the first prisoner escape from the Prison of Elders. And during that mission, he helps the Guardian, or also known as the player character, during this mission. One of the last wars that he fought in was the Battle of Saturn. He was the only known survivor of the battle. His ship was damaged and it crashed on Mars following the battle. His sister Mara also fought in the battle. She was actually suspected to be dead, but the Crow believed that she was still alive, and so he began searching for his sister. And then the Crow had what some people might call his mad traitor arc. During this time, he formed an alliance with the Fallen House of Kings. He also allowed the Red Legion to invade. The Red Legion is a Cabal legion and was the main antagonist of the Red War, aka their bad guys. He also led a campaign against what was left of his homeworld. During that campaign, he killed and stole from his people, and he used Mara's sacrifice on Saturn as justification for the actions that he was taking. At one point, the Crow came to be driven to madness due to strengthening of the light and no longer hearing Mara's voice. Because of this, he resorted to consuming ether to numb himself. Later on, he met up with Fickrell, who is a scorned leader, and the scorned are a race that is created through the death of the Elixni. The Elixni used to be known as the Fallen, but are not anymore because they are allied with the Vanguard. So later he met up with Fickrell, who he bonded with over their dislike of the fates of their people and the desire to see them evolve through extinction. So, like I said before, where the scorned are the result of dead Elixni being reborn, that's what their plan is. The Crow and Fickrell ended up working together to take over the fallen house of kings. And then during one of his rants about the future of the Awoken, he had a break where he surrendered and was thrown in prison into the prison of elders by Petra and Cade Six, who Cade Six is a beloved character. He was the leader of the Hunter Vanguard of Guardians, and he was, in my opinion, hilarious. Later on, there actually was another prison break that erupted in the prison of elders, and the Crow attempted to escape as well. Cade Six and the player character both go on a mission to prevent the escape from happening. One of the prisoners that escaped kills Cade's ghost, Sundance. The ghost is something that's given to guardians that allows them to come back to life if they die. So his ghost was killed. The next thing that happens is the Crow kills Cade. And it says here, Uldren retrieved the Guardians, referring to Cade, the Guardians' custom hand cannon known as the Ace of Spades, and began approaching a badly wounded Cade. Cade asked if the prince might have a gun he could borrow, amusing Uldren, who told him that he did not, but did have a bullet with Cade's name on it. The Hunter Vanguard threatened that his partner, the Young Wolf, also known as the Guardian, and again also known as the player character, would arrive to kill Uldren and the Barons at any moment. And so Uldren said, "Shush, shush, 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 shush. This is going to hurt a lot. Any last words?" And then Cade says, "How's your sister?" And then the Crow closes his eyes. He takes a deep breath. The screen goes black, and all you hear is a gunshot. And then the Forsaken DLC banner appears on the screen. So, needless to say, that scene was one of the more sad scenes that occurred in the Destiny franchise. As, like I said before, Cade was one of the most beloved characters in the game. The Crow continues sowing chaos throughout the system until he is eventually caught by the Guardian and another of the Awoken race and is killed. And then the Traveler decides that he's worthy of the light and decides to give him a ghost and make him a Guardian. And then eventually he becomes the Hunter Vanguard, replacing Cade. So there's that. I guess he kind of has a redemption arc, if you want to call it that. Next, I kind of want to break down a little bit of his personality as described by the game. As Uldren, he is known for being intelligent, cunning, clever, loyal, condescending, smug, arrogant, ruthless, and also antagonistic to Guardians due to his disdain for them. After the Battle of Saturn, Uldren becomes cruel, betrays the Reef, becomes a cold-blooded murderer, and is corrupted by the darkness, which causes him to see visions of his sister, which is the cause for him believing that his sister is still alive. He also displays erratic behavior and conflict within himself. So, next is where I talk about the possible disorders that might apply to the character that we're discussing in the episode.
Before we get started on the psychological analysis, I want to provide you all with a little disclaimer. I am not a licensed psychologist, and therefore I cannot make diagnoses. This is just my interpretation for considerations of potential disorders based on characteristics and descriptions of these characters that may be applied if these characters were real people. I do have a Master of Science degree in forensic psychology and only want to utilize my knowledge of that field to analyze these characters. Again, this is not an official diagnosis, but rather an interpretation of characteristics. All analyses were researched using the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders.
This one is a little bit harder to pin down because he doesn't have like specific traits that fall under or could fall under a personality disorder such as narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, bipolar, things like that. So the best one that I could come up with is personality change due to another medical condition. And I'll just read you what the diagnostic criteria is. The diagnostic criteria consist of a persistent personality disturbance that represents a change from the individual's previous characteristic personality pattern. There is also evidence from the history, physical examination, or laboratory findings that the disturbance is the direct pathophysiological consequence of another medical condition. The disturbance is not better explained by another mental disorder, including another mental disorder due to another medical condition. The disturbance does not occur exclusively during the course of a delirium, and the disturbance causes clinically significant distress or impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. And there are certain different types that can go along with this disorder. And I identified him as more of the aggressive type, which means the predominant feature is aggressive behavior. He might also fall into the other type, which is if the presentation is not characterized by any of the above subtypes, or combined type if more than one feature predominates in the clinical picture. But I think aggressive type fits him better. So, like I said before, it was a little bit difficult to kind of nail down what personality disorder might fit with him just because of the circumstances with which things changed over time for him. I did also consider post-traumatic stress disorder just because of the fact of him losing his sister at the time. Oh, and the reason that I chose the disorder that I did choose, so the personality change due to another medical condition, is because if you remember, I said earlier that he is corrupted by the darkness, which causes him to see visions of his sister. So that would be kind of like the classification of corruption of darkness would be the other medical condition that is causing the personality change. So he went from being intelligent, cunning, clever, loyal, condescending, smug, arrogant, ruthless, and antagonistic to guardians, to being cruel, betraying his people, becoming a cold blooded murderer, becoming erratic, and having conflict within himself. So that's the reason I chose the personality change due to another medical condition. But tell me what you think. Do you agree or disagree with this analysis? Leave a comment in the comments section for this episode or in the comments section for the Instagram or X profiles for the podcast. Also, please like this episode and share it with your friends and family. The show's email address, as well as the show's social media links, in the episode description below. All resources are also provided in the episode description below. And I want to thank you all for listening. And again, any feedback is welcome.